Now it is exactly 9 p.m. on this 14th day of May 2024, a day that EPRA has of course reduced the prices of fuel across board by 1 shilling. Now that among many other stories prepared for you in this particular bulletin. First of all, let's have a look at what's making headlines.
Tonight on the bottom line, the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority reduces the price of petrol, diesel and kerosene by 1 shilling effective midnight. Bribery, embezzlement and theft of public property, most common vices, the ESCC reveals as it calls for changes in legislation. And reject corruption in all its manifestations, says President William Ruto as he presides over swearing in of 20 High Court judges.
Now, welcome to the program. I am Ian Keitani. Remember, you can watch this bulletin live on our Facebook and YouTube pages at Lookuptv. Let's begin our bulletin now on the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority has reduced the fuel prices by 1 shilling in the May review. EPRA has reduced the price of super petrol by 1 shilling per litre, diesel by 1 shilling and 20 cents per litre, and kerosene by 1 shilling and 30 cents per litre. The new fuel prices will be effective from midnight. Now, bribery and embezzlement of funds have been ranked as the top leading vices in the country. In a report released by the ESCC on corruption in the country, fraudulent acquisition of land follows closely at 19%, as the rise of fake certificates in public offices said to be an emerging danger.
As the ESCC grapples with combating corruption, bribery and embezzlement of funds across the country, take the cake as leading areas in corruption cases at 31%. At the release of the corruption report for the year 2022-2023, led by the Archbishop David Oginde, fraudulent acquisition of public property also featured largely as one of the corruption cases.
The need for us to look at our legislative framework so that it can enhance our fight against corruption and the enhancing of ethics and integrity in all sectors of government. And this is something that we continue to work on and engage the various stakeholders so that we can make sure that the framework that we have, the legal framework that we have, actually facilitates the fight against corruption rather than hindering it.
Forgery of certificates within the public service has also been termed as a huge burden in the country, with the EACC Secretary Tolib Mubarak saying that the Commission aims to curb the menace, further denying accusations that the EACC is used to settle political scores.
Lazima kuwe na namna ya kuwa kama unaandikwa kazi, kama vile shirika la ushuru. Ukitaka kujua huyu mfanyabiashara hii tax compliance certificate yake iko sawa, unaenda kwa kompyuta, unapiga, unaona inatoka pale pale. Hiyo ndio dawa ya kumaliza ukora wa makaratasi ya uongo, dawa ile halisi. Hii sasa ni penkila tu kutumia DCI, kutumia ESCC. Dawa yenyewe ni kutengeneza mikakati sawa sawa na serikali ya kuweza kujua hapo kwa hapo kuwa hii karatasi ni ya uongo ama ni ya kweli.
ESCC Chair David Oginde added that ESCC will sanitize corrupt companies in the country as well as corrupt government organizations, warning that anyone found involved in corruption will face the law.
We are proposing that either a percentage of that which has been recovered or an amount that would help us to meet our actual expenditure budget would be released to us from the monies that are recovered.
With 214 cases pending before the courts, ESCC is advocating for significant amendment of Kenya's anti-graft legislation. It proposes to directly utilize financial resources and assets recovered from corrupt practices to meet its expenditure budget.
During the release of the financial report of 2023-2024, ESCC has decried of low funds, hence calling on to the government to increase the allocation of funds in order for them to conduct their mandate easily. Ebikadenyi, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
Now, still on matters corruption, President William RUTO has called on judges to reject any form of corruption and serve Kenyans with integrity and professionalism. Speaking at the swearing-in of 20 new High Court judges at State House, Nairobi, RUTO assured the judiciary of his support to serve Kenyans in earnest.
In the exercise of the judicial functions entrusted to me, I will at all times and to the best of my knowledge and ability.
Speaking during the swearing-in, President RUTO urged the newly appointed judges to uphold integrity and professionalism and reject any form of corruption in their service to the people, reminding the judges to remain devoted to their mandates and solemn oath of office, urging them to diligently serve the people of Kenya without fear, favor, bias, or any political influence.
Your devotion to these mandates and undertakings and your commitment to diligently serve the people of Kenya and to do justice to them without fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence, as I heard each and every one of you say.
RUTO further highlighted the government's commitment to enhancing the capacity of judiciary, particularly through infrastructure development projects, and announced an increase in funding for the justice and law and order sector with a focus on combating corruption and promoting accountability.
We have increased our budgetary allocation to sectors combating corruption and promoting justice and accountability since 2022-2023.
Now, Samson Omwanza Ombati was today sworn in as the new LSK male representative to the Judicial Service Commission. Presiding over the swearing-in, Chief Justice Martha Koome lauded him for his new responsibility and urged him to uphold the rule of law. Omwanza replaces Mashari Njeru and is set to serve for a 5-year term.
I, Samson Omwanza Ombati, having been elected under Article 171(2)(f) of the Constitution of Kenya as a member of the Judicial Service Commission, do swear that I will at all times obey, respect, and uphold the Constitution of Kenya and all other laws of the Republic, that I will faithfully and fully, impartially, and to the best of my knowledge and ability discharge the trust, perform the functions, and exercise the powers devolving upon me by virtue of this election without fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, or prejudice. So help me God.
We will work together for the good of the people of this country. And I know I am speaking for the entire Judicial Service Commission when I actually say we warmly welcome you to the Commission and look forward to working with you. Look forward to your energy, enthusiasm, and passion for doing things to make the rule of law a reality for the people of Kenya, to make access to justice a reality to the people of Kenya. Today, you will be joining the other commissioners of the JSC in our collective pursuit of the imperatives of securing the independence and accountability of the judiciary as envisaged under Article 172 of the Constitution. All the functions of the Judicial Service Commission ultimately boil down to facilitating the realization of the right to access to justice as enshrined under Article 48 of the Constitution.
Now, the Council of Governors has commenced talks with the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers to iron out outstanding issues and end their ongoing strike. In the meeting held today between COG and the union, the two parties laid down issues up for discussion, with the KUCO insisting on honoring the 2021 collective bargaining agreement that settled on a risk allowance of 15,000 shillings.
In Ruto sub-county hospitals we speak now, there is a BSc clinic officer who is employed there and is earning 18,000 per month. There is another one in the same county earning 35,000. There is another one under UHC earning 50,000. There is another one in full pay.
The Council of Governors has kick-started talks with the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers with a view to iron out outstanding issues as captured in their strike notice, with a view to ending their ongoing strike.
Collective bargaining agreement is not on the table because it does not exist. Recognition agreement is there. We recognize you, and that's why we are seated here. And we hope that now we can be able to set the parameters or which path do we have to walk through. Of course, we are cognizant to the fact that health is devolved. However, we still have remnants of issues that are operated or they are implemented from the national government.
Negotiations today and the end by today. So this is a process that will be a give and take, where we give, where you take, where you give, we take. But at the end of it all, let us be guided by what Wazungu said, the end justifies the means.
A representative meeting between the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers and the Council of Governors to lay down issues up for discussion, with the health service providers who insisted on honoring of the 2021 collective bargaining agreement CBA that agitated for a risk allowance of 15,000 shillings for the clinicians.
Governor Mudhomi, the CBA is on the table because we have been negotiating. We have negotiated 80%. What is remaining is about 80%. It's not actually something that can even take us more than 2 weeks if we are to sit and negotiate and with goodwill. And also reiterate that ourselves as the union, we have a lot of goodwill.
Their plays hitting hard rock as COG holds the view that matters money can only be discussed with the national government through the Ministry of Health.
We are two different governments that have the same responsibility. And therefore, in our discussion today, just to assist my chair for labor, let us isolate the issues that have to do with the county government, the COG. Don't take us to the route where we have to handle issues that the CS Health and the ministry should be handling.
The clinicians' leaders thereafter proceeded to lead demonstrations, vowing not to relent until their grievances are heard and determined by the respective stakeholders. Stanley Lugaria, Lookuptv.
Interior CS Professor Kithure Kindiki now says that the recent arrival of modern security equipment in Kenya signifies a significant progress towards realizing the goal of a safer nation. Speaking during the reception of 10 more armored personnel carriers in Mombasa County, Kindiki said the equipment will ensure Kenyans are protected from any harm from criminal elements. The procurement is part of the government's police equipment modernization program, which has been allocated a budget of 37 billion shillings for 5 years.
CS Kindiki emphasized that achieving lasting peace, security and stability demands swift and unwavering action against all threats to the national security. This approach is crucial for fostering rapid economic growth fueled by both the domestic and foreign investments.
Tumepokea vifaa hivi mnavyoona hapa ambayo ni magari yaliyolindwa specially, ambayo ni magari ambayo hayawezi kupigwa na risasi ama hata mabomu ambayo yametumiwa kulipua magari ya maafisa wetu katika sehemu zingine ambazo maafisa wetu wanafanya kazi ya kulinda wananchi wa Kenya na mali yao na kulinda taifa letu.
Kindiki highlighted that the latest procurement, which will increase the total number of modern armored personnel carriers received to 20, is aimed at enhancing the protection of frontline officers, adding that the acquisition is part of the government's 5-year police equipment modernization program, which will come for 37 billion Kenyan shillings.
Hii ni sehemu ya pili ya jambo hilo, na sio tu magari ya kutembea na kujistiri wakati wako katika hiyo kazi. Vile vile tumepokea silaha za kutosha, silaha za kisasa, zikiwemo zana za kukabiliana na adui, zikiwemo zana za kutumia wakati.
Kindiki also mentioned that Kenya is currently working on enhancing and revitalizing its air assets equipment, expressing satisfaction by stating that the efforts to support frontline officers are nearing completion if not already achieving perfection.
Tumeanza sasa kupokea zana za kusaidia katika kukabiliana na magaidi angani, ikiwemo magari ya angani yasiyoendeshwa na watu wowote, magari ambayo yanajipeleka yenyewe na mwenye kujaendesha hayuko karibu, na hayo magari vile vile yako na mabomu.
John Matava, Lookuptv.
Okay, let's take now a short breather before we come back with more news items making headlines tonight.
Mtazamaji, I'm sitting with some of the youths who are going to explain to us what is the drastic effect of floods in the country.
When you look at the Horn of Africa, environmental justice in the Horn of Africa is something that we definitely need to address.
The response was not timely enough, but can we blame the government? To some extent, yes, but we also need to ask ourselves as individuals in our own capacity.
Tumeshuhudia athari zake kwa wenyeji na Wakenya hapa sehemu mbalimbali hapa nchini Kenya.
I've been affected by floods in one way or another. How did I contribute to the current state we are in, and what can I do to avert this?
In planning and development, there are places you just can't construct, because when such calamities like floods occur, then you will definitely be distracted.
Our response, out of 10, I can give it a 3.
The idea of government relocating and vacating people, I wouldn't second that, because where are you vacating to? Are you going to manage yourself there? Because it starts by self-management, self-care. Before we call out to the government, what are you going to do to help yourself first?
Kipindi ni ukulima ni mali na manjoro. Kumbuka, hapa ndipo unajifunza mambo mengi kuhusu ukulima. Kilimo ni uti wa mgongo wa nchi, na ukiwa na njoro unajifunza. Kumbuka, angalia mwenyewe. Tunakuambia, ukitaka kujua tips za ukulima, ungana na sisi kwenye Lookuptv. Every Sunday unatukuta pale saa 10, tunakuonesha kuhusu ukulima. Ukulima wa mimea, ukulima wa ng'ombe, ukulima wa kuku, ukulima wa mbuzi, na yote ambayo yanahusiana na ukulima. Kumbuka nini? Kipindi ni ukulima ni mali.
Now, let's continue with the bulletin. And lawmakers from the coastal region have called for a total ban over Mirror and Muguka, setting the stage for a clash with their Meru counterparts. The 6 legislators from Mombasa County claimed that the 2 stimulant cash crops are drugs and therefore ruin the lives of Kenyans. Addressing the media at Parliament buildings today, the MPs said there was a need to amend the law to categorize the 2 cash crops as drugs.
Kwa hakika
ukiangalia sababu kubwa ambayo bidhaa fulani huongezwa bei, kama vile pombe serikali huwa inaongeza bei, kama vile sigara serikali huwa inaongeza bei, ni kwa sababu hizi bidhaa huwa zina athari ya kiafya kwa mwananchi, na ndio sababu zinaongezwa bei ili wale watumiaji waweze kutumia chache, na pia isiweze kuwezesha watoto wadogo kuweza kutumia. Kwa mfano kama katika mwambao wa Pwani na hasa Mombasa County, zao la mugoka unaharibu mpaka watoto wa shule, kwa sababu leo wauzaji wa mugoka wanatengeza paka paketi ndogo za shilingi 20, paketi ya shilingi 50,
and it contains a chemical which is harmful to the human body. Number 2, the emphasis on mugoka is that mugoka is very cheap. 50 shillings, you are home and dry. Okay? Yet, even 20 shillings now, you can get it. You know, miraa is a bit expensive, so it is out of reach of the many youths who are coming up. But mugoka is very cheap and very accessible to the people. And it is also very dangerous because those green leaves are always sprayed. Every morning they are sprayed so that they can be able to be harvested later in the evening, and they look fresh. So these sprays, what do they contain? Are the chemicals that are in those sprays harmful to or safe for human consumption? Then there is the effect of loss of sleep and all manner of shortcomings that are associated.
Now, learning in junior secondary schools in Isiolo County was paralyzed today as JSS teachers camped outside a TSC director's office demanding employment on permanent and pensionable basis. They also called on TSC to obey the court order, threatening to paralyze learning across the county until their concerns are fully addressed.
A day after schools officially reopened following a 1-week suspension due to floods in the country, it is business unusual for junior secondary school teachers in Isiolo who are up in arms insisting that they will continue the demonstrations until the government fully addresses their demands.
Walimu wa JSS wanatumiwa vibaya. Tuliingia internship tukaambiwa ni ya mwaka moja, ikaongezewa na bando hao walimu ambao inaongezewa wanapata 17,000 ambayo hata kununua chakula yenyewe ni shinda.
Teachers here camped outside the office of the TSC director, insisting that the commission should comply with the court order. They have given TSC 2 days to comply with the court order, failure to which they will file a contempt of court case against the commission.
Sisi tunataka wa employ the intern teachers permanent and pensionable. This is easy request. Ini kitu ile iko pale and they must obey the court order. Failure to that, sisi tutakusanya hapa tena tukuja hapa to apply contempt of the court. Ndio Nancy Macharia aende ashikwe adharani mchana. And the contempt of the court ni milioni 10.
Arrests among GSS teachers were also witnessed in Embu yesterday, where teachers organized demonstrations demanding the Teacher Service Commission to comply with a court order which mentioned TSC's proposal to comply teachers on short-term contracts contrary to the law. Kagonya Gloria, Lookuptv.
Now, SNV organization from the Netherlands has launched a Slum Dam initiative that can be deployed in areas prone to flooding in Rumuruti, Lookuptv County. James Mwangi, an official from SNV, noted that the initiative will harness the floodwater, enabling the communities to plant and practice irrigation during the dry season. Slum Dam is a project invented in Netherlands that uses synthetic tubes filled with water and used as flowing water barriers.
Rumuruti area in Lookuptv County may see an end to the detrimental impacts of flooding with the introduction of the Slum Dam project by environmental specialists from the Republic of Netherlands. The expert urged both national and county government to support the initiative as it has the potential to mitigate flood damage by harnessing excess water.
Katika hii mradi tumekuwa tukifanya na Lookuptv County ili tuweze kusaidia county waweze kuwa na teknolojia yenye wanaweza tumia kuzuia floods. Na hii ni mambo yenye tulianzia last year wakati tulikuwa tulikuwa tumetabiliwa kwamba El Nino inakuja tuliweza kuidentify Rumuruti kufuatilia mawaidha ya kutoka Water Resource Authority na katika partnership na Netherlands Embassy tuliweza kukuwa na mafunzo.
This approach not only addresses flood-related issues but also enhances food security by providing communities with sustainable water for agricultural activities during dry season.
Slum Dam imekuwa iko na manufaa mbili zaidi yenye watu wametambua sana. Wanaitambua sana kuzuia floods na pia wanaitambua sana kutumika katika kutumia maji ya ukulima. Unaweka maji pale ndani, kukikauka unatumia hiyo maji kama ni kulima, kama ni kupea mifugo yako.
Laikipia County Governor Joseph Iringo has praised the introduction of the new technology, highlighting its potential in mitigating flood challenges and addressing food security concerns.
This is a new technology that has not been there in the country, and it is intended to prevent the floods that are particularly brought about during the El Nino and even during the heavy rains. And more than that is I see it in Laikipia County that it's also going to be used, particularly in the pastoral community, where we can be able to, when we are doing the water tracking, during the time it is dry and we want to do water tracking, rather than all the times we are carrying the big tanks where the communities are because of that kind of nomadism, that movement of the pastoral community. This is something that you can be packaged and it is dropped to where the communities are, and you are able to track water and put the water here, which can be used by the community and their livestock.
The success of the project has extended beyond Kenya, with implementation in Burundi and Nigeria, resulting in noticeable improvement in food production. This demonstrates its potential for replication in various regions. George Kayesi, Lookuptv.
Now time to get sporty, and Iku Spiders FC are the winners of the Tujiamini Cheza Dimba Tournament Eastern Region. Iku beat Al Azizia 5 goals to 4 on penalty shootouts after a 0-0 draw in regular time in a game played at the Kinoru Stadium in Meru County. Iku Spiders walked away with a 3-year sponsorship deal inclusive of free football kits and 250,000 shillings.
It's unearthed, if you can say, yeah. And then that's where you start polishing the gem that turns into the fantastic diamond that is the talent that could go up to the Premier League, to the Harambee Stars and the rest. And we have to focus on these grassroots tournaments because, as we've seen today, a team like Iku FC at the bottom barrel of the FKF tournaments have beaten teams that are in the regional league, you know. So it shows that the competition that's there in football in Kenya is untapped and unmanaged, and we need to get them to the levels that they have shown us that they can get to here today.
Hiyo talent tumeikuza kwa shinda sana, lakini nilikuwa najua kwa sababu watu wetu wanajiamini na wachezaji wetu wanajiamini, kuna ile passion na ile talent ndani yao, nilikuwa najua tutaweza kushinda hii tournament. We were sure. Tumecheza tournament nyingi lakini hatujaipata pesa kama hiyo tutapata leo na hizo kits.
Imekuwa ngumu kwa sababu kawaida zote ya finali zinakuanga ngumu, lakini nilikuwa na matumaini, nilikuwa ninajua Alizizia lazima ningewabwaga, hata tungefika mapenati lazima ningewabwaga.
Now Manchester City will be at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at 10 p.m. to lock horns with Tottenham in a highly anticipated game. The match will be the 37th round of the English Premier League and will determine Man City's fate in the quest for 4th consecutive Premier League title, a record that has never been set before. They're second on the log with 85 points, 1 point behind league leaders Arsenal, who are 86 points. Of course, that will be a mouth-watering clash, and of course I have just a few minutes to go and ensure that Manchester City win that game against Tottenham to, of course, put themselves on pole position in the quest to win the English Premier League. Until then, of course, you can have yourself a wonderful night, and like always, God bless.